Welcome to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Teresa. I am a watercolor artist and surface pattern designer. This tutorial is about tree branch florals. So this one, we're not going very loose and we're not going very detailed. So most beginners find this one a little easier because it is in the middle of the road. I'll walk you through some very basic steps and then I will fast forward it so that you can watch me do it multiple times. But I hope you give it a try and let me know what you think. Was it easy or not? Okay, I'm going to use my fine liner and we're going to make a branch all the way across this page. But first I'm only going to do part of it because I don't want to put my hand in it later. So I'm only going to do down here in this bottom corner. So I'm taking some burnt umber and I'm just going to be very sketchy about it. Just kind of get it started here. I think I'll add a little more water to my brush so that we can smooth this out just a little bit. Now I could have used a larger brush and just done it in one big sweep, but I really want my texture to be with thinner strokes. So I'll just spread that out here. I'm not going to go into as much detail as I did in the tree bark video. So I'm keeping this a little more loose than that. Just kind of doing a thicker and thinner mixture of that umber. And I think I'll add a little Van Dyke brown here so to get a little darker. We're going to come back over this 2 or 3 times. So I'm not going to fuss too much with it right now. I just want to get it started. And I think I'll put a little limb right here. And again, I'm just being very sketchy about it. You don't have to get too precise. I think I'll have probably a little leaf over there, and let's do another little branch over here. Maybe we'll have a bud coming off that one. Let's just work on this a little bit. We can just keep coming and going from this branch. Just fine tune this a little bit. Not a big deal. Like I said, if it gets a little messy, that's okay. This is a loose painting. So let's work on this little leaf right here. I think I want a smaller leaf. So I'm going to change brushes. That was my grabby number 3. I really like silver brushes for leaves, but I really want a small leaf right there. So that one's a little large. Let me switch over. This was my 8 silver brush. Let me grab this 6 silver brush. And so we're going to do the same kind of leaves we did in the realistic leaf video. I'm just going to smash it down, twirl it around, let it create its own shape really. And this is sap green that I've started with, but then I'm going to go over here and get a little olive green. Oop, too much. Let me pick some of that up because that was a lot. All right, and then we'll just kind of spread this around. And I don't want to fuss with it too much. As we talked about in the leaf video, we want the paints to mix on their own. We really don't want to mix it up ourselves on the paper because then that just creates another color. And I want to see each color. If they touch and mix on their own, that's great. But so now I'm adding some greenish umber here, the darker color. And you can add some veins if you want. You can add some veins, you can add real light veins, you can add dark veins, you know, whatever you like. So now I think I'll put a larger leaf over here. And again, I'm just smashing it down and then connecting it there to the branch. Dropping in some more olive. And I'll spread this out just a little bit. Just get some coverage here. And remember, when you have too much, you just touch it and wipe it on your towel. Touch it again and wipe it on your towel to remove it. That's probably good enough. And a little more of this greenish umber. And we can put in a little bit of veins here. And if they dry too light, we'll go over them later. And just kind of wait and see what happens. Okay. All right, let's move on to the bloom. So I want a bloom over there. I'm going to use a cat's tongue. These are really nice for floral petals because it comes to such a fine point, and it has a fatter belly, but it's kind of a flatter brush. So we're going to use that, and this is a very easy one to do. You just put that point right down where the center of the flower would be, and then you can smash it down on the paper. And because it comes to a point, and I don't want the top of my petal to be pointy, I'm going to wiggle it around and kind of curve out the top of that petal so that it'll be a nice soft round petal. And this was a little light, so I'm just adding a little more pigment. That was a little lighter than I wanted. It's better to go too light than too dark, though. Once you go too dark, it's hard to, you can pick it up while it's still wet, but once it starts drying, then it's hard to lighten it. So it's better to go a little on the light side. And now I'm dropping in some quercétone rose right at the tip of that petal, at the base of that petal rather, just to add a little color interest. And I'll let it merge with the yellow on its own and come back, and let's do another petal. Same thing, I just place that point in the center and then bring it around. And we'll have one more here. Oop, see? I don't really want that point on the top of the petal, so we'll just smooth it out. There we go. We'll just round it out. And now we need to add some more of that rose at the bottom. And this rose can be pretty powerful, so kind of start out lighter with it, and we'll probably retouch it 2 or 3 times. It does dry much lighter than what it goes on, but it is very powerful, and you really don't want it to be too thick. So I'd rather apply it in 2 or 3 coats to get it the color that I want it. All right, that's the basics. So now all I'm going to do is move up the limb and adding leaves and blooms. I'm going to do another small leaf right here, but I picked up the wrong color. I meant to grab a sap green, and that is not sap green. That is a brighter blue green. So I'm just going to drop in some sap green over the top of it. Not a big deal. That was too much, so now I need to lift it out and kind of spread it around a little bit. And I'll add the olive green and the greenish umber, and it'll all blend in and be fine. So I am going to fast forward this and let you just watch as I work my way up this limb. So everything is completely dry now, and I'm going back with this fine liner and putting in some details on the petals. Now this used to be very intimidating to me, but it's really not complicated. As long as everything is extremely dry, you can go back and put other layers on top, and that's all I'm doing here. So I've taken the same yellow I was using before and just drawing these little lines on the petals. Now I felt like they were a bit strong, so I will go back over them with clear water. And it really works well if you just cover the whole petal in clear water. Now you don't want to paint back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because it will disturb that first layer and your paint will start coming off. So you do have to go about it very gently, but it's very possible. It's really not that complicated. I could have gone over the whole petal with clear water first and then drawn the lines, but I wanted those lines to stand out just a little bit and not bleed so much. And it's easier to do that if you do the lines first and then you go over it with water and soften them where you want to soften them. And then I'm just going to go back over and just touch up, add a little bit more darker details here and there on the veins, on the leaves, on the trunk. I'm going over it multiple times to get it where I want it. So just play around with that, and I think you'll find if you're just gentle with it, you won't have any trouble at all. And you can also drop in that quercétone rose the same way. As long as the petal has clear water on the top of it, you just touch it again and it will disperse on its own and give that real soft look as it merges with that clear water. But like I said, just be careful not to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over the top of your painting very much, because it will start to lift off. So when you go back over the top of a layer with either clear water or a little bit more pigment even, it gives it such a nice pop. That's also known as glazing. So if you ever hear anyone say that they've glazed their painting or something, that's what they're talking about. They've just gone over the top of it again with a little bit deeper color or even clear water. Well, that's about it. It's just some basic strokes, very sketchy little strokes for the tree limb. And we did little ovals for the blooms, and you can use any brush you want. You don't have to use a cat's tongue. You can even use a round brush. It doesn't matter. Use whatever brush you feel like you get the best results with. I hope you give this one a try, and if you do, please leave me a comment. Let me know how it goes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. And please subscribe for more videos coming up soon.